Hello, I'm Matt from World of Ukes and I'm looking at some custom strings today. They are strings for a baritone ukulele and they are these Guadalupe strings. Guadalupe, I don't know. But they are custom baritone strings handmade in America. They are unusual in that they're GCEA for a baritone. That's fairly unusual, but it's not unheard of by any means. But these are actually an octave lower than your regular tenor ukulele or concert ukulele. So they're low G, but a full octave below. So they're even deeper sounding than a regular baritone. So just to go through that, we've got low G, very low G, shall we call it, C, E, and A. And if I compare that with the sound of a low G GCEA tenor ukulele, so I'll quickly do this one. So it's a full octave below, and just as I was saying, that very low GCEA is actually deeper than a regular baritone in DGBE tuning, so it's very deep indeed. So yeah, handmade in California, and they're quite thick in gauge in order to achieve that low note. And I've been having a bit of a play with this, what I would call a sort of relatively inexpensive but decent Kiwaya Student Series KBU1 baritone ukulele. And I've got to know them a bit, having played it now. And I think they're useful for perhaps for a ukulele group that wants a bit of low end, but not have bass or bass tuning, or a baritone and baritone tuning. So definitely got their purposes, but I've found that they work best for me anyway in certain ways, because they're quite thick. If you think of the bass strings on a guitar, for example, if you've ever heard a guitarist really attack the strings, then you can hear a rattle of strings on frets, and that's the case here. So if you really go for it, I find that when you strum loudly, you'll hear that little rattle a bit. With a thumb stroke, it's quite easy to sort of trigger a little bit of rattling. Definitely picked with a finger is my favourite, and if you go into strum, it can be quite muddy sounding if you're just regularly strumming. But a light strum with the fingernail, I think, works quite well. So let's just run through what I've just said there. So yeah, with the thumb, you can do it lightly. But if you really go for it, you can achieve a rattle just simply because of the gauge of the strings and that deep note and how they vibrate. Whereas I find picked with a fingernail, it's effective. And if you're going to strum, if you really go for it, it is slightly rattly. So it's not unworkable, but just a lighter fingernail strum. And there's plenty of volume with them too, so you don't necessarily need to go all out in your strumming. But I suppose if you are thinking of it in a ukulele group scenario. Oh, well, you know, we haven't got a bass player, but we need some bottom end, but nobody wants to learn or transpose their chords to have DGBE tuning. This would do the trick. If you're all going to be there and you've really got to hit the strings, it wouldn't be the clearest sound, I guess. So I will just play a few little tunes, and just to get a bit more of a demo of these Guadalupe custom strings, low G, or super low G, very low G, extra low G. I don't know. Octave strings. I think people have called them octave strings before. So yeah, G, C, E, A octave strings. That sounds quite good. So let's have a little bit more of a listen. So that was a demo of this baritone ukulele with the Guadalupe custom strings, full octave lower than low G tenor or concert ukulele. Yeah, they're quite expensive. They've just over £20, but I've got them in stock. It's basically because they're handmade and then shipped over from the USA, and then VAT on top. But you know, worth an experiment. I've enjoyed getting to grips with it. I don't know if I would stick with it, or maybe if I had a spare baritone that I don't use very much, I might put these on and maybe experiment a little bit now and then. I don't think it would be my main instrument, that's for sure, but certainly an interesting experiment and something fun to try. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the future.
worldofukes.co.uk worldofukes.co.uk